We're a minute out, but I guess we can go ahead and.
Wait till 11.
Wait till 11.
o'clock. Yeah, please.
And the recording has begun.
Yep. There you go.
It takes time.
Magic.
It doesn't happen in a second, right?
How did you get?
Sir,
I think.
Call order.
It takes time.
Okay, I'm still at 11. I'm still at
I'll
59.
so it's 11 o'clock.
Okay, then,
Good choice.
we have, everyone getting their microphones together. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I guess the first order of business will be to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was the easy part of the meeting.
Yeah.
I think my mic is not working.
Yeah, it's getting light on it. Oh, yeah. See if we can. There we go.
Okay.
I think when your fingers are touched, they don't.
Oh, that must be it. Yeah.
Mary Beth, I'm Chair. Mary Beth had mentioned before the meeting that she had trouble opening up her packaging. Did you have problems?
Yes.
Mhm.
If you want to take 5 minutes, I can take and print 2 hard copy agendas for them so that they have them, so they can follow along.
Yeah.
That's not necessary for me today. I mean, I could just,
You can piggyback off of
Keep
what I
going.
got. but-
yeah.
Well, just,
Kathy.
Kathy.
okay, all right, you're going to share that way? Okay. I just want to make sure you all have, we're able to follow along.
So are we good?
We're good.
We're good.
Okay, first item I think I'm going to do is welcome our new member, Kathy Hancher. Just as attending your first meeting today, so welcome aboard. Hopefully you'll catch up with what we're doing and figure it out. We'll help you along. So welcome. Thank you for joining us.
And I might add, she is our new alternate member, but today, as we have one person not present, I think will be a voting member the first time out.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a lifelong resident of Charles County. I grew up in La Plata and then moved to Waldorf for about 25 years, and I'm back in La Plata now. So I'm married with 4 children, and I recently retired and was looking to get involved back with the community.
Well, we're glad to have you on board. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our November 21st, 2025 meeting. I hope everyone had an opportunity to find a way to look at them. I know we're having trouble getting on board, getting online and seeing them. Is there anybody who has any comments or changes to make regarding the minutes from the meeting?
No.
Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes on November 21st meeting?
Second, that motion was from Paul
Yes.
and.
Chair, so if I may interrupt, since Ms. Hancher was not part of the November 21st meeting, I would advise that she recuse herself from the vote since she wasn't here for it.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, that's Mary Beth seconding the motion, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion has passed. Minutes are approved. Next item of business caught us all a little bit by surprise because we always forget this comes up in the spring, is the election of the Historic Preservation Commission Chair and Vice Chair for 2026. I guess we'll start with the election of the chair. And I suppose the first thing we have to do is, are there any nominees or anyone that want to put forth a nomination to be chair, or anyone want to nominate themselves to be chair?
I spoke with Rich and he is willing to be chair for this coming year.
Okay, so
I
I'm
would like
hearing
to-
that we will nominate Rich
Gilpin.
Gilpin to be our chair.
And Chair, if I could, just for discussion, one of the things I'd just like to remind us all of is that, the chair and vice chair, we went to some training last night and we talked about, the roles of folks on commissions and boards. And I bring this up just for discussion, right? In the context of what we're doing for the elections is the chair has a specific role, right, to to participate in the build of the agenda with the staff liaison, right? And the other significant role that that person plays is to set the tone of the meeting and to make sure that everyone is heard, right? And so it's in that context that we're electing a chair and a vice chair. And so I just want to remind us of that as we are, we've talked about it a little bit last time too. I brought this up that we're professionalizing our boards and commissions, and I think the training last night was a really big step in that process that we're going through, and we do this on all the boards and commissions annually, it customarily in January, and so that's why we're doing this here today. So I just want to offer that back out to the group as you consider whether you want to nominate yourself or other peers here on this commission is I'm just recommending for discussion, we do it in that context. And so what I think is important to me when I think about, any board, commission, or council that I'm on, right, is that the chair, again, sets the tone and makes sure everyone is heard and runs an efficient meeting effectively, kind of keeps us on track. But in all other matters, the chair is an equal voting member, right? It's one of 5. And so it is really those things that I focus on when I think about, who the chair is in particular as we run a meeting. So as we consider this, and if you think about whether you want to do it or not, think about it in that spirit and that context. Thank you.
Well, in light of that, do I hear any other nominees?
I would like to actually wonder if you, Stuart, Mr. Bowling, right, would like to consider being the chair as well.
I am content in my role as vice
You
chair.
are? Okay. All right.
And
I
would nominate myself for vice chair if nobody else would do that.
Okay, understood. That is fair.
If there's no other candidate available, then I guess we'll call for maybe a discussion. Anybody want to discuss the issue? Rich being the chair?
Do we have a second on the nomination?
Mary Beth seconded.
She made the nomination.
No, I'm sorry.
So we need a second on the
I'll
nomination.
second it.
Okay, so Jane was second.
I
Yeah.
thought Jane had seconded. I
Uh-huh.
misunderstood.
So we'll call for the vote.
Then I guess we'll call for a vote. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So unanimous vote for Chair Gilpin to retain the chair position for 2026.
Okay. And we'll do the same procedure for the vice chair.
I would like to nominate Mr. Stuart Bowling,
I'll,
Vice Chair.
I'll second that.
I'll probably nominate everyone else. Can I? Okay, are there any other nominations? That would be Jane nominating and Mary Beth doing the second.
Mhm.
Are there any other nominations? Does anyone have any discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
Any opposed? I thought I
None?
heard all ayes, so.
No. That's okay. So Vice Chair Bowling will be retained as the vice chair for the HPC for 2026 by unanimous vote of the HPC.
Okay. Our next item in the order of business here is the adoption of the Centennial Plaque Program Resolution. I think Don is going to take the lead on the discussion of the Centennial Plaque Resolution
Yes, sir.
Program Resolution.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First thing I want to point out was an error on the date. I still had November 21st. The current staff report is dated January 14th, 2026 on there. That's just for clarification. So because we have 2 staff reports that say two different things because they represent 2 different meetings. So that's just for the record. So as identified in the current staff report, the Historic Preservation Commission at its November 21st meeting reviewed a draft of the Centennial Plaque Program to recognize building structures, object sites that are at least 100 years old and that can be documented. There is a series of criteria for eligibility. The commission was supportive of the plaque program as it was drafted, with the exception that they wanted to have the plaques made in bronze because the cost differential was really not that significant. Staff has made that modification under the description of the plaque in section F of F2 to be exact in the plaque program. Attachment A, again, just sort of represents what the plaques would look like. Staff has prepared a resolution to recommend approval of the Centennial Plaque Program to the town council, which would be brought to them likely at the end of February. Staff is recommending approval of the Centennial Plaque Program as presented. One just minor discussion point. At the last meeting, I believe it was Chair Gilpin had questioned whether or not, or not questioned, but asked how he wanted to make sure that there was no impediments or to help expedite the processing of these applications. Staff's recommendation that staff has put in your report is that the program could be just handled at staff level, not requiring it come to the HPC for approval, as long as that the guidelines are followed. And myself as the planning department director would review the applications for approval. That's something if the commission is interested in changing the language in section B6 that currently requires the Centennial Plaque Program to be approved by the commission. If the commission still wants to review these, you just leave it as it is. Otherwise, we can make that modification by I throw that out for any discussion the commission might want to have based on what Chair Gilpin's comment was at the last meeting. Other than that, staff recommends the adoption of the resolution that's prepared for the Centennial Plaque Program for the commission's consideration. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a suggestion for a change or modification to the draft of the plaque program that we looked at the last time around to allow staff to also approve the plaques and not have them all come through this commission. Do we have any discussion on that? Any opinions on that?
Is the consideration of that one change, is it to me, just on the face of that change, it would just go to the speed of which they're processed, right?
That's all it does.
Right. Okay. And so it is, staff has no problem with taking that on, I presume, right?
Basically a little extra time, but all I'm looking for is we'd be looking for the same as the commission, that documentation to demonstrate that the building structure object site appears to be at least 100 years old to be issued the plaque.
Okay.
But staff's happy to bring this to the meeting. The way I look at it, the time's going to have to be spent either writing the staff report and presenting it to the commission, or we do it in-house, probably the same amount of time. So it doesn't matter to me one way or the other.
Is part of the consideration that if remind me, we were talking about up to five a year. If there were in a year, right, and this is, probably very hypothetical, right? But in a year, if there were 8, and several of them that were there at the same time, would we as a group want to use our judgment to determine which ones would rise to that year's, approved 5, right? And so, or do we want to just let town staff do that, or do we want to participate in that discussion? That's what it seems to me might be part of what we want to consider here.
Yeah, I mean, the way that we would implement this is that there would have to be budget for it. At this point, my draft budget for it, I have allocation based on the cost of the bronze plaque for 5. The council would have to, of course, approve that budget for those 5. If in a subsequent year the town decides that they don't want to fund the program for that year, then the program would be suspended until it was funded.
Mhm.
So if, it's just that's how I'm looking at facilitating it. So if we anticipated that there would be money for the following fiscal year, then we could, that it was adopted by council, then we can approve it
Yeah.
for that following year too.
My opinion is because of what I think is generally going to be, you know, a relatively small number of them. I kind of prefer bringing them here because I like the opportunity to discuss them publicly. I like the opportunity for us to participate in that process and the discussions. I think it's just a better experience for everybody.
I agree with that. I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with that idea as well. I like the idea that the commission gets to see them at least part of the process. And that it doesn't just go into staff, because if it goes really just into staff in the town, we sort of lose track of it, I think. And you've worked a lot on this, Mary Beth, so I would be more than happy to defer to anything that you would prefer in this issue. But I would like to see it go before the commission as well.
I agree.
Okay, so I guess then, if there's no further discussion on the issue, do I hear a motion to adopt the program as it was presented?
I would make a motion that we recommend to the council that the program is adopted as presented.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Rutenberg. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Mary Beth. I guess I'll call for the vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? I'm an aye on that as well. Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. We have adopted the Centennial Plaque Program draft resolution.
And that will be presented to the council probably in the end of February for their consideration, along with the commission's work program.
Okay, the next item for discussion is item 5.2, development of a preservation professionals list for the La Plata community. And again, Don will be the lead on that.
Great. Thank you, Chair. This is just a kind of real easy verbal report. Based on the work plan that we have, staff is going to begin working on developing a preservation professionals list on here. And basically what that list is it's going to be able to identify various contractors or professionals that have skill sets that are going to be helpful to residents, businesses, the La Plata community, to identify professionals that can do, has particular traits or skills. Ideally, they're familiar with Secretary of Interior's professional standards and guidelines to do work on building structures, objects that residents might be interested in trying to follow the guidelines to preserve those resources. So I don't anticipate this to be a heavy lift for staff. I certainly would welcome anyone on the commission that wants to assist staff in doing research and collecting these names. We will put that list together and bring that back to the commission as a future agenda item. And
if the members of the commission want to nominate a name or suggest someone, how do we do that?
Just ask if there's anyone on there that would like to assist staff. It could be a committee of one or two.
Okay.
I don't want to make it overly complex, but if staff welcomes the additional help in doing some basic research, I'll give them some instructions and what to look for or where to go, and we can put together a list sooner than later. So.
I guess I have a question. Does this also include persons who have a historical background who can contribute to that? You're talking mostly of
like contractors.
of contractors, but does it also include professionals or just persons who have a good understanding of the history?
It would fundamentally, the goal is to find professionals that understand the preservation and have worked with resources in the past, are familiar with Secretary of Standards and Guidelines. I will tell you, and you know, that's going to range from carpenters to people that do masonry work, painters, you know, glass makers, or it runs the gamut. Basically, all the things that are listed, you know, in terms of you know, metal workers, whatever. Those all the people are going to have some involvement with potentially restoring or rehabilitating a historic building structure object would be included in that. I will tell you that the what my expectation is we'll go out and try to find people as best we can that have some background in it. A lot of folks that will call themselves competent in working with historic resources simply because they've worked on historic research, not necessarily because they have the background for it. But there are people out there that still understand the traits and have that sensitivity to historic resources and will understand what we're looking for, you know, to be on this list. Going forward with it, the way this usually works is that you will find other people that will want to be added to the list and so forth. And the best we can do is provide at least some core foundation of people that we believe are qualified to do the work based on what they tell us or the information they have. This list will basically be open for other people that want to nominate themselves to be added to our website, for example, that say that they have those traits or those skills. And really the goal is to make people at least aware of the people that believe that they can do that kind of work. You know, I'm not going to go out and try to, you know, look at their work or get a whole, you know, professional resume of everything they've done. But if there's other organizations that have identified these contractors or these people, those are great to borrow from for our own purposes. There might be folks that are tradespeople that maybe don't have a full-time business that are very skilled in particular trades that might be interested in being put on the list to do something. But at the end of the day, we're providing a list of people for the community to at least a place to start. It's always up to the property owner to investigate and evaluate what works for them in terms of who the contractor is. The town would not get involved with matching people up at all. This is just more for public service.
I think along what Jane was saying, because a thought occurs to me as you're describing specifically more so like construction, building and renovating structures. Historic resources just in general, if
Right.
someone is, I don't know, has a historical project that they want to do, the thought occurs to me again, because we were just in the process of doing this documentary that we were working on recently, that having a place where we can go and find people that, for example, we were looking for people with historic cars, and we were looking for people that had access to historic properties that were similar to 1926 and so forth. Would the list as you envision it be able to include those types of resources as well, or should we be looking at creating like a separate register of historical resources?
I could see having something like that if we wanted to do that. What my thought was is really more the nuts and bolts of the actual work for retaining the building's integrity by using people that have those skills. But there's no reason why it can't be expanded.
So we would
to-
put it
to
within the
include
category that
other-
you're doing here, or should we actually try to set up a separate list?
I would do that as a separate list,
Yeah.
to be honest, but I would start with this because it's on the work program as a core. But we can certainly expand that to have other types of preservation organizations or folks that if somebody wanted to join or be part of or wanted to connect with. Great.
Well, and I think what Stuart is talking about, the homeowners might be very interested in that also. They might not have the historical background that, so that might be of interest to them.
Sure. And that's really what this really is to do, is to provide people that are, we don't have any specific requirements per se, you know, because we've really, this commission, to my knowledge, has not really processed certificate of appropriateness to evaluate construction or modification to an historic property yet. But so at this point, there are people out there that might say, hey, I've got a vintage house, or that, not historic, but I care about it. I want to make sure that it looks the same, that it feels the same, but don't know where to start. And the town's a great resource to be able to provide that opportunity, that they can start there.
Well, there's sort of a cultural preservation aspect of it as well. I'm thinking of I think the husband of a cousin of mine taught himself rope making so that he could keep that skill alive. And now he goes around the country and does demonstrations on colonial rope making.
And
And
That's
that
perfect.
type of cultural preservation aspect, we had a big tobacco industry here for a
Mhm.
while, and those sort of skills are sort of fading off in the distance. Those kinds of things might be useful for teachers and educational purposes as well.
absolutely, and that's why I think that's a wonderful suggestion, to add that as kind of a ancillary list of folks that have these special cultural skills.
Okay, do we need to,
So really the point of this on the agenda is just to make the commission aware of what the staff's next steps are toward the work plan, and to see if the commission wants to have a member or two to engage with staff as a committee, to help our department do some research.
anyone interested in?
Huh.
In participating in getting together some names for the list for the,
I would be willing to participate.
okay, Mary Beth has expressed interest in participation. And Rich isn't here, so I can't speak for him. Anybody else have any interest? I would probably have some interest in the cultural preservation aspect of it, should we go down that road. I don't know, since we have this plan that we adopted, and this was part of that plan, do we need to amend or officially make any move to get the cultural preservation list included, or do we just sort of grandfather it in?
I would sort of grandfather it in, to be honest. I want to work on the professional trades first, but when we get that, I think it becomes sort of a like I said, an ancillary addition to that could be done. And I think that would be a wonderful addition to that. So we're following the core of what the work plan is, but we're tacking on other things. And I see, you know, as we go through the program and we start working on stuff, there's going to be other little outgrowths and great ideas that we can include later on, or to use as ancillary additions to what the core activity is.
Yeah, and I'll just offer, related to what you just said, Mr. Dooley. You know, I participate in not only this commission, but the Planning Commission, and obviously the Town Council. And a lesson that I have learned in my short time is that when we focus, we move stuff forward. And so I identify with what you're saying, and I support that. You know, the idea that we focus on the thing that's in the plan, but I do think that these natural outgrowths will occur. But my preference would be that we focus on achievement, and
Yes.
then let those natural things build onto them, and I think they will.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
Okay. Are there any other issues or items of discussion on this topic? Okay, then I think we're good to move on to the next item. Historic Resource Commission meeting cadence. This is something that Rich included that I wasn't expecting. So, but he did give me a little bit of background on it. He apparently had some discussions about the possibility that the meetings would be held by this commission. We started out, I think, quarterly
Quarterly.
meetings. And that was what brought me on. I was told, oh, it's only 4 times a year. Don't worry about it. And then it was, well, we got involved in some things and it became every 2 months. And now they're talking about the possibility of doing it every month. So do we have any discussion on the possibility of expanding our meetings to once a month?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Yeah, my view is, we, right now, couple of factors here for me. We don't have a rule of procedure, so I think that sometimes can, in my experience here with this commission so far, can cause us to have some tension points with what our agendas are appropriately added to them or not, right? And so like I would like us to see us resolve that before we increase our cadence, because it's hard to really say that there's a driving need to come together monthly. Ultimately, we are here to help advise and make decisions, right? So I'm not seeing that there's a reason that there is a backlog of decisions that staff is being prevented from doing something because they don't have access to us to decide something once a month as opposed to every other month. And so I would like us to first get to a point where we have a rule of procedure where we're more closely tracking ourselves to it is I believe it's chapter 13 or chapter 11 of the charter. The charter has our actual
Job
scope.
responsibility.
Yeah, the
it's
scope
codified
for
ordinance.
for this commission,
Yeah.
and then the rules of procedure would kind of refine how we align ourselves to that and kind of move through it, right? So, I'm just not really perceiving a reason to be doing this monthly. Is my view for discussion.
I think part of the reason, and it was rooted in the fact that because there's been a lot of transition between how we were operating to how we're trying to get just operate now. We were very hands-on trying to get things accomplished, and right or wrong, that's what we were doing.
Mhm.
And so I think part of it is rooted in that, the idea that we have the 1926 100th anniversary of that event coming up, and then we have some other things that we were doing in relation to the museums, trying to get the second museum up and running at the firehouse. Of course, all those things have now been caught up in realigning how this commission operates. So I don't know that we are at this moment at a meeting, at a point in time where our cadence needs to change. Unless anybody else here has any other idea that perhaps it should. Does anybody else have a burning notion or idea that we absolutely must meet more often than we are meeting now?
I don't.
I do not.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me like we are going to probably table this, I guess.
No, it
Question.
just, I'm sorry.
Should we find a need, the fact that the 250 is here upon us and the 100th anniversary, if we find a need to call a meeting?
Yeah, one of the things I was gonna, you stole my thunder, Mr. Chandler. I was gonna point out that, and I agree with the consensus of the commission, that from staff's perspective, I don't think there's enough workload to justify doing this on a monthly basis. If there is a need for it, we're always have the ability to have special meetings to address those concerns. I think having having a member or two as a subcommittee to work out some of the technical stuff avoids having to even have special meetings at times. And I think it's a great way to be able to work in concert with staff to make decision points, to be able to move on so that we can bring a fully vetted project to the commission for consideration as part of your work plan.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess I guess we move on to the next one,
Yeah,
right? We
it's
can
just
move
that-
on to the work group reports.
It's just that for the record is that the meeting cadence will be retained in its current form every 2 months.
So the next item on the agenda is the 1926 tornado commemorative activities, and really the one that follows it, Celebrate La Plata Day, display at the town hall. Honestly, they overlap each other, so maybe we'll kind of handle both of them at the same time here. They're both sort of under my purview at the moment. I have been speaking about a plan to have a commemorative activity here at the town hall in relation to the 100th anniversary of the 1926 tornado. And that it would entail having an exhibit possibly in the atrium here of some of the items that we currently have that are on display at the La Plata Train Station Museum, expanded with some additional items that we could put together from a lot of the research that Tony Bazile and I have already done in relation to the book and the documentary we're working on. And we would make available, Tony has been willing to donate items also to this exhibit. And then after that exhibit to the town museums, if we're willing to accept them. And the whole idea would be to have an exhibit here in this atrium area that would be in coordination with or simultaneous with the La Plata, Celebrate La Plata Day in April. And have it stay up and available to the public for view up until the actual November anniversary, and then we could take it down. The exhibit would mostly be posters, photographs, captioned photographs, but we could also, for Celebrate La Plata Day itself, have things like we might have a choir come in or a chorus from some local group come in and sing songs from the 1920s, or maybe just have we could have Model Ts come in. We had a group that came down when we were doing the documentary that was really wonderful. I think they were called Chesapeake Model Ts, and they were very enthusiastic. They do this on a volunteer basis, so they don't cost anything. And they came down and made themselves available for the documentary, and then we all got rides. We could get rides in the cars, which is a lot of fun. And they could give you a little ride back and forth, maybe up and down LaGrange or something. And that would kind of add a little bit of fun to the event. And then we could have audiovisual setups. We have the TV, we have the smart TV with Francis's tornado memories, and then we have the slideshow that could also be shown. And we've really compiled a pretty substantial body of material that we can draw on pretty quickly to put this together. The only thing that would be, there would be some expense involved and staff time involved in getting items, posted and framed and so forth. And then whether we can use the atrium for that purpose and whether it can be secured and whether we want to have the public coming into that part of the building, over that period of time, all those issues would have to be worked out. But that's the basic idea behind it. And I'm just sort of throwing it out here now to see if there's any support for this, for moving forward with this sort of a plan, or whether we should look at some other type of activity as our commemorative activity for the 100th anniversary. This could also possibly be tapped into the Maryland 250. It might be a little late for that, but it's possible. Do I hear any discussion on the subject?
Chair, I'm sorry, Councilor Flynn.
As you were talking about this, Chairman Bowling, the thing that occurs to me is that, what you just, and we've discussed this before in here, the ideas that this brings forward and the assets that members of the community want to bring forward into this. I mean, and I love the ideas of this. This is all very much in line with what we're here to do. And what I would like to do is kind of turn this towards staff liaison Dooley, right? So Mr. Dooley, if I could ask this, like, how do we make these ideas, bring this energy and make it actionable so that folks that have historic artifacts that they own and they want to bring them to the town, they want to do the things that Mr. Bowling just said, like what I'm wondering is like, are we slowing this down by forcing these conversations through this committee when Mr. Bowling and the others that he mentioned who have these assets and who have the energy, they want to bring this stuff here and they want to, bring history alive in the town for that purpose. Is there another path for them to engage with the town so that they can move this forward? Or maybe this is the right path, but then what is the action we're asked for?
After the meeting last night for the board and commission training session, myself and Vice Chair Bowling had a discussion about the best way to present ideas to the commission. What I was explaining that I think the best way to do this is if somebody on the board or commission or on this commission has an idea or a concept, I think the best way to get that moving is sort of bottom up, is to create sort of the concept, a written concept of what it is you're wanting to do. Let staff think about it and run it through the various departments or folks that need to be aware of what the plan is or what the concept is, and identify issues that would have to be resolved, or identify, for example, there's going to be liability insurance for somebody bringing stuff in, additional staffing, additional costs, who's going to pay for that, how's it going to be monitored, that sort of thing, especially if it's open to the public, they can go in. So there could be things that we need to consider as a town and the implementation part of it from staff's perspective. And my thought is if you bring something to me or as staff, let me work it through the town itself to identify concerns, issues, or whatnot, and float that back to the commission and say, here's what we can do, here's what we are going to be challenges or issues, here's opportunities. And then you have something you can at least rely on to know what the parameters could be, or where you should steer away from, or something you could potentially expand on. So that way I have an opportunity to be able to tell you, kind of where the boundaries could be potentially. My concern is that when I get, and I agree with Councilmember Gutenberg, I think it's a fabulous idea. But when you're making a decision saying, hey, we want to do this, the staff's in a position that this catches me by surprise. I haven't had a chance to tell you what's possible or not. So submitting it through town staff, almost like for the lack of a better term, like an application or a concept, and then I can bring it back to the commission with some real feedback.
Yeah, here's the way I just want to say this back, so I think I understand what you're saying, sir. Is that and my concern is that we actually slow down this being done by bringing it through this commission, because what's our decision? I mean, I think we would all have a consensus this is a great idea. The issue would be like, go to town staff, I think is what we're hearing. Go to town staff and this is what you want to do. You want to bring in this display case. You want to have these items in there. You make the agreements you make. If town staff believes that they would like the Historic Preservation Commission to look, weigh in on the concept or in that way, then we can. But what I worry is that by bringing it through the thing, and because I've seen this on our agenda before, and we don't get momentum. I think we actually take momentum from it, because the impression people get is, well, the commission is talking about it, so something must be being done, and then it just keeps coming up every 2 months, and then we don't actually do anything.
No, because we haven't been able to do anything.
Yeah.
Perfectly honest about it. I mean,
Yeah.
we feel like our hands are tied. This is how you feel, Stuart, with this exhibit? I mean, we know what we want to do, but until we get the go ahead from y'all, we can't do anything.
This is one of those ones that
We have it all together, but where are we going to put it?
It was kind of orphaned in this transition that we've been going through, because we were discussing it before Don came on and we
Mhm.
were talking about the possibility of how we were going to try to mark this anniversary and what we were going to do. And it's still on the agenda now, even though Don and I did talk about it last night, and nothing that he told me is shocking to me now because he told it to me last night. Um, and I did, I think, forward you an email last night with the skeleton of what I was thinking
Yeah.
about doing. And he has not had a chance to look at it really and comment. So it does catch him flat-footed. The only reason that I even bring it up is because it is on the agenda, and I did want the commission's to discuss at least if in concept, this is where we want to go and what we want to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't even bother to send it to you and take up your time looking at it. And that's really, that's the flipping point for me is I feel like if I bring an idea to you and the commission doesn't know about it, and then we look at it or you look at it and go, this isn't such a great idea. Or you look at it and go, yeah, this is good. And the commission goes, oh, we don't want to do that. Then I feel like I'm wasting your time ideas. But if I bring it to the commission and they say, this is great, then I take it to you. Then as like a formal kind of a proposal, then I have a better idea that we're on in sync with each other. And that's kind of where I was going
I
with
see.
it.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's why I did it the way I did it. But I can go either way with it. I can, I can submit
Well-
things in advance, but I think I like the commission to at least have an idea of what we're trying to accomplish.
To Councilman Gutenberg's point, though, too, I think he makes a really good comment that maybe an organization, the voluntary organization that's out there might offer it to the town to be able to set it up. And with the town manager is, consent to doing that. And if it's possible, then it can just happen. And then and there's nothing wrong with that. Organizations often have ideas that they bring to the town. And that if we're able to work with it or to do it and address any concerns, then it can happen that way as well. If we're trying to make it a more formal process, that's why I was suggesting, kind of let me have an opportunity to look at it. It can be agendized, and then you can sort of spring it onto the commission. But it can happen. There's various ways of doing it. I just wanted to be able to have something, I'd be able to react to it and provide some real comments in real time. But give me a little bit of time to do that. But if the program that you're talking about, even as a community member, but if you do this, but if you were attached to, a nonprofit, an organization, I think you can it's something that you could write a proposal up that could be given to the town manager for consideration and just make it happen. If
Okay.
we can address the concerns and any concerns or issues. And the things I think about are, what's it going to cost in terms of staff time? Do we have policies or procedures for installing things temporarily in the rotunda? Is there insurance issues that we need to address? Liabilities, those types of things. And I don't think we really are set up for that right now. And so that becomes by itself something that has to be addressed by the town manager, the city manager's office. Town manager's
Okay,
office.
how has it been handled in previous years here in the atrium when the Arts Alliance has displayed their photography, or there's been many different displays, and it's never been a major situation. They come in and they put their exhibit up, and I assume the liability is taken care of. I mean, we want to keep this simplistic, I guess what I'm trying to say. And we've had this idea for 2 years of what we wanted to do. And now we just feel like we're getting bogged down with bureaucracy. I don't know another way of putting it.
Yeah, to answer your question, Commissioner Chandler, I don't know. This is one of those things that I haven't explored it, so I don't know. It would certainly, you bring up a really good point that if it's been done in the past, there must have been some sort of process or procedure for it that hopefully is written down. But I don't know. I know that we want to, as stewards of the town, we want to make sure that we're covering the town's best interest, and so that we don't have any financial problems if something goes wrong. So we want to limit risk, but I agree with you. It's something that I think can be handled without necessarily having to have the commission involved with it. It's just a good idea. Doesn't have to be something that the commission sponsors.
Yeah, I think this
Let's
came
do
up
it.
actually in the context of the Maryland 250. That was why it was coming through us, but Mary Beth, I'm sorry, I didn't.
My question to you is what we call the La Plata room at the train station. What we're talking about is basically moving the La Plata room, the panels and everything here to the atrium. Is that correct? And then displaying, other words, we'd be pretty much emptying out the La Plata room and
Oh,
bringing it here.
I
for
wasn't
public
actually
viewing.
proposing that. I mean, some of the items, yes, some of the
The panels
panels
that
that
you've
were hung
done.
up, but not the actual partitions.
Yeah,
Yes, some
Isn't
of
that
those
what
items will be
we're-
moved
yeah.
and then augmented with other things. I mean, I don't have the list in front of me, but I know that Tony Pazila had collected as part of his efforts to put together materials. He had collected some newspapers, I think a Chicago Tribune and Omaha Bee from 1926, showing that that this tornado news reached that far across the
Mhm.
country. He found some photographs that were being sold on eBay that were from periodicals from the period that were of the tornado damage and so forth, and news reporting on it, and even some original photographs. And it's a small collection, but it
Mhm.
is pretty neat to have. And then we also collected a whole bunch of newspapers and
Mhm.
photographs and testimonies, and there are oral histories, there are videos, there are all kinds of crazy things that we could consider putting in part of this exhibit.
As part of the display, would there be anything about the tornado of 25 years ago? Or are we strictly focusing right now on the 100th anniversary of the original tornado?
The portion that I was interested in mostly was 1926. I'm prepared to go and expand it to the 2002 one as well. But I think a lot depended on the space and really how far we get with the idea of having this event take place. It is kind of short notice. I mean, we're here in January, we're
Well,
talking
we're
about.
talking 3 months.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
But it could
perhaps
be.
we need to have a special meeting in
Well,
the next couple of months in order to get
We
this
can
done.
expedite.
Yeah.
Town staff.
Yeah, and that was what I was worried about with my original comment, right? Like, I don't think there is an action that we need to advise them on. I think that this can go directly to town staff with a definition of what you're wanting to do. Because really what you described to me was largely, Mr. Bowling, was a lot of things from private collections and right. And so it's not that it's like a major proposal to relocate or do something with town assets, historical artifacts, right? This is net new artifacts that are being brought to the town in a display that hasn't been done before effectively by residents.
it's a mixture because
Okay.
some of the items I'm talking about are already on display and technically do belong to the town. I think Don and I have also had a discussion about whether the town has an official process for receiving these kinds of donations and making them part of the town. There are items that have been donated to the train station museum that probably need to be cataloged and recorded. For example, that bell that we have, that's one of the few artifacts we have from the original 1926 school. Mike Birch gave us that bell on a semi-permanent loan. He basically said that he's loaning us the bell, that he isn't really giving it to us, but he's probably never going to ask to get it back again. So it's one of those things, but that needs to be recorded somewhere. I mean, that needs to be documented so that, because I was there, I know what happened, but if I'm out of the picture, nobody else knows what's going on with that bell. So these types of things, these are processes I think that need to be in place as well. And although despite all of the discussion here, I did get, I think, what I needed to hear, and that was that nonprofit organizations can come to the town and private individuals can come to the town and offer up these types of ideas, and they don't have to put them before this commission
Correct.
first. And that, I think, is probably the disconnect I've had all along, was thinking we had to work through this commission first.
No. It's if you can put together a proposal and we can talk offline, that's something I can then give to the town manager with some explanation of what's trying to be achieved. And then, because I'm not aware of a formal process that we have to do this. So we're kind of cutting new ground from your new town staff. If we have a process, and we'll obviously want to build on that if there's any inadequacies. But I think if you put something together, we can try to expedite what we can do as town staff to have a display. I think personally, as just speak Don personally, I think it's great to use the atrium for those types of displays as people come to the town hall, or they have an opportunity to learn a little bit about La Plata and its past and its stories and its history.
Well, Mary Beth is right. We have had similar displays in the past from other organizations, and whether or not that's been documented, any kind of formal process in town, I don't know, but it has been accomplished in the past. So hopefully there'll be some documentation somewhere about it. That will help us get through this one as well. Okay, do we have any other discussion on that topic? Anyone? Okay, well, hearing no further.
Oh,
Go ahead.
well, I do need to ask one thing about the historic marker, which is, I assume, at Public Utilities. And what action needs to be taken in order to get this historic marker in place before April 20, whatever it is, 24th, 26th?
25th, I think.
Okay, two quick comments. I'll give you a real quick snippet, but we should probably talk about this offline, so it wasn't particularly agendized.
Okay,
I will tell you that it's at the town yard. They are aware of it. We have a location that's supposed to be placed in. And so it's a matter of getting Public Works to install it.
okay,
If we're having a particular, an unveiling ceremony or something, that's very common. That's outside of planning. So I would imagine that it might be, the special events coordinator might be involved with that, to actually organize that.
Yeah.
At the direction of the town manager.
but the wheels are turning to get it installed. That's my question.
It's there. It needs some inertia to keep it moving, because the town staff is limited, and every day we get new
And who
stuff, and we need to
provides-
focus on it.
Okay, and who provides that inertia?
I
I
think-
just want to know that,
Anything
you know.
that
It doesn't
It's
have,
not something we can do.
does it
It's
have a
something we-
specific advocate for it? No, other than and again, we can talk offline,
Okay,
but
that's fine.
I'm sure that we can make this happen.
Okay, that's the
This is
question.
something we don't have to do, like
No.
a formal,
Nope.
resolution asking the
Yeah.
town to do this for us.
No,
Okay.
it's town, it's basically it belongs to the town. We just need to install it.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, oddly enough, item 6.3, the train station museum, the only issue I have to discuss there kind of ties into the same general theme as the issue of getting that plaque installed, or that marker installed. Train station museum report is, we were open for Shop Small Saturday, and we had a good turnout. We had a pretty positive response there. There are some maintenance issues that we've identified coming up on the station. And this is another little disconnect here that's kind of a vestige from how things were done before, because in the past, the commission would ask the town to take care of maintenance issues that we've identified at the station and in the caboose and so forth. And then at one time, we were told, you don't have to do that. Just go straight to the facilities and ask them. And then I was told at one point, you shouldn't be asking facilities directly. You should be going through somebody else before you start talking to facilities. So I've been full circle on this, and I still don't know how to get an issue with a repair that needs to be done at the train station off my chest and onto the people that have to get this repaired.
And there's so many small things, whether we've requested replacement of a flag, whether we've requested the trash to be emptied, the building to be clean. I don't know the last time that building was.
There were
professionally
actually
cleaned.
enhanced decorations that we were asking for in the past when we have our.
Who is the first?
So this would be the responsibility of the Public Works Department. The Public Works Department manages town assets at the end of the day. So setting up a meeting, possibly with Wilson Cochran, who's the Public Works Director, I think would help facilitate the request, whether you're making them or a member of the community is making them. i.e. the paint's peeling here, or, well, there's an issue with the roof. I mean, these are good public feedback comments for Public Works, and it's on them to make those repairs to public assets. So I can help facilitate having a meeting with Mr. Cochran. I probably won't be involved with it, but I think if you haven't met him, nice guy, you can develop some sort of a relationship with him that works for his department in terms of how things should be processed. And I think knowing who to go to and having that personal relationship, I think will go a long ways, because right now it's as these things happen, and I'm happy to help facilitate where I can, but I want to make sure that you're spending your time and talking to the people that need to, that will actually get it done.
And I guess our question is, do we have the authorization to go direct?
Absolutely.
Do that, John.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Here's my view on that, right? Albeit it is clunky what I'm about to say, right? But there is a place on the town website where you can report an issue with any kind of town infrastructure, right? It is super clunky. I'm not a fan of it, right? And it's not good at necessarily telling you like where it is in the process, right? But ultimately, either through that or an email, right? Any citizen, any resident can communicate into town staff. That, to me, that's the first step, is getting it on town staff's radar, because ultimately what the Public Works Director is going to have to do is like these kinds of things have to go into his budget bill, right? And so like right now is probably the best time to
Yes.
this is happening
Yeah.
right now, especially if it's like something like painting a caboose or fixing, porches and things like that over at the rail station, right? So we should make sure that is getting, if we have a consolidated list of that, probably the best thing to do is get it in an email and copy Mr. Dooley and the Public Works Director, so that they and I think this probably, my recommendation would be, probably best comes from the people that are working as volunteers over in the Rail Museum when we're there, right? So like they would probably have the best feedback for that, and then it can go into their kind of planning for what they're going to do, and then once that happens, the next thing is continuously trying to get status, right? So it's establishing like, how often is it okay for me to kind of ping you on this, right? Like my hope would be, like, some of these things are kind of big though, like potentially like painting a caboose might not be a thing that, obviously that's not the kind of thing you're just going to run out there and do, right? Like there's some planning to play with that. And so, what I think a reasonable expectation of staff is to sort of like, once they hear that initial set, right, is to sort of give an expectation, like based on the broad set of priorities they have to deal with. Is this a 6-month thing? Is this, a couple of these things safety related, and maybe they're going to be prioritized first in the next, month, and then these other things are more cosmetic and they're going to happen at an appropriate season or something, that kind of stuff.
Okay, what about something like right before Shop Small Saturday? Usually we have the holiday decorations put up around. We have the people come in and do the lights on the caboose and the station. And in the past, we had requested, I think Patty Mudd was driving it, if I recall, getting garlands put up. Or was you and Patty, or
On the outside?
yeah, getting the
Well, they did the professional people that come in and do the display. They had put garlands up before, but for some reason the garlands never got up this year.
Yeah.
Maybe it just wasn't, maybe they cut the budget. I have no idea. But the
We-
garlands did not get up.
when things like that are sort of time crunch sensitive types of
sensitive.
things, because we had that event coming up, and it's like, wait, there are no garlands put up. How do we, do we do the same thing? Do we approach you? And
those are town asset issues that I don't really get involved with. I'm happy, because we have a relationship on the commission, or anyone else, I guess, is to help steer you in the right direction.
Yes.
But Public Works is the one that's ultimately responsible for putting stuff up, taking stuff
Okay.
down,
Public Works.
doing maintenance to public assets. The staff this week was given a little bit of a respite for some departments didn't finish their draft budget. But next Tuesday, the draft budgets for all the departments are supposed to be in to the town manager. So you've got a little window there if you want to send Mr. Cochran an email and say, here, we've got these issues that we'd like to address that you'd like you to consider, and make sure that there might be budget for doing this if you can help facilitate this. If you don't already have budget to do it this year, but let's after the meeting, I'll get you in contact with him. I'll send him an email and ask that if he can set up a meeting with both of you if you'd like to do that.
That I think would probably be all we need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And again, I'm always happy to help facilitate. There's certain, I don't want to steer into their lane and they don't want to steer into my lane.
Okay. All right, well, that was productive, just in
knowing
being able
where
to
to
think where to
go.
go next. Yes, absolutely. Are there anybody else that has any discussion on the train station museum or any other items that relate to the commemoration or celebrate La Plata Day? Okay, then we're going to move on to the next one, which will be the town council liaison comments and reports, and that will be Paul.
Okay, all right, thank you. Last night, I think all of us here were including Mr. Gilpin, we're here for the training for the boards and commissions. I was really pleased to be here as well with you all, and I know there were two other councilmen here as well, and Councilman Sampson and Councilman Johnson, and it was really nice to see so many people in this room. And in particular, the thing that struck me is that the group of people that was in this room, this is really the who's who of getting stuff done in, local government, right? And it was really nice to see. And it was there were some questions and just some side conversations and just you could tell there's just a lot of energy in the room with that whole group of people. I don't know if you all felt that as well, but I really liked it. I really liked the content that was presented, and I really look forward to that the sentiments that were expressed there and the information that was shared there, like kind of permeating through everything we do, and I think it certainly colored some of the conversation that I had here, right? Like when we talk about the bureaucracy and it is understanding it and knowing the scope of what we're doing. It can help us navigate this bureaucracy, right? And it's necessary as well, but it can help us navigate this in a way that makes it feel more effective for us, so we can achieve the outcomes we want. So that's really my only thing I'll just do is just bring that up here and remind us all of that. So with that, I'm done, and I'll yield the rest of the time to Mr. Dooley.
Okay, for the last item on the,
Yes.
next to last item on the agenda,
Yeah.
the planning director comments and report. I'm Mr. Dooley.
Okay, thank you. A few things just to make you aware of. The discussion there'll be some discussion at the March 17th, 26th budget study session about the firehouse and for the council to start making some decisions on if they want to put resources into the building and how we proceed potentially with that in the future. So that's hasn't been forgotten. There's process for everything. And so you have to have money obviously first to be able to decide if the program's going to happen. But I want to make you aware that the March 17th meeting, the council will have this. We'll be talking about the museum and if they want to invest resources or time into that. So there's something happening moving forward with that. Mentioned it a little bit during my comments on the Centennial Plaque Program. Staff will be bringing both the HPC work plan that you all adopted in November and the adoption and recommendation for the Centennial Plaque Program to the council in February. And the purpose of that is to obviously we want to get the town council's blessing on your work plan because there's some monetary issues that are tied to that. For example, you need a little bit of allocation to develop plaques for the for the houses and buildings. There's also going to be future allocation for historic resource survey. So there'll be things like that we want to make sure that we're aligning with what the council wants to do and make sure that that our program is something that they want to fund in the future, they're interested in, or if they want to make modifications to it, so that the commission's aligning with the commission's goals or the council's goals. So the commission's part of what the commission does is, as far as its goals or tasks is to make recommendations on preservation related topics to the council, and you're basically giving your recommendations. It's up to the council to make those final decisions on how they want to proceed. And so this work plan falls directly within that scope of intent between that relationship with the commission and this council, or commission, with this commission and our council. So that will be coming forward. I wanted to get it done before Christmas, but I had so many other priorities to get done. It just didn't happen, but this is something that it'll be on February, because I want to move this forward. And then we can work accordingly. Also wanted to bring to your attention the Daughters of the American Revolution approached staff about putting up a plaque to recognize our Revolutionary War patriots. They want to put it out in front of the Christ Church, which is next to the courthouse. And I'll pass you along here. I know what they're showing me. There's an identification of the plaque and then the general location. So you can kind of see what that is. Originally they wanted to recognize Thomas Stone, who's our local signer for the Declaration. The national charter of the DR had a little bit different idea. They wanted to do a broader recognition of our patriots during the American Revolution. So they've modified the language and kind of changed the focus. But I want to just make you aware of that. Staff's going to send them a letter basically saying, yeah, this is fine. It's the plaque's going to be very similar to the road marker that we have that's out there right now, but on the opposite side of the front of the church. So this proposed marker would be closer to the driveway. The existing marker is on the east end of the property along the front. You'll see it's that gray, the Maryland marker, site marker. So I just want to make you aware that that's coming up. They're looking to install it before the 4th. And so I just want to make you aware of it when you see it. And of course, if they have any unveiling ceremony or anything like that, I'll let the commission know so that you can be part of that if you're interested.
And the church is aware of this?
Oh yeah, there's documentation in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
They decided it wouldn't be a good idea to just show up one night and then.
Right.
No, they have
Okay.
the church's dispensation to put the marker up.
Great.
Well, those I saw this
Okay.
is Thomas Stone.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it was originally represented to staff. That the national
Oh, right, yeah.
PR didn't want to
Do
do
you
that.
know why they chose this location over the Veterans Museum?
Well, because of the fact is originally, again, Thomas Stone was supposed to be who it was going to be associated with. And they chose that location because apparently the stone that's been used on the church was from the original Episcopal church that Thomas Stone attended.
Yeah.
And so that was the connection. Now,
Okay.
does it
Yeah.
need to be there? Is that strong of a connection? No, not really, if you don't mention Thomas Stone, but it's certainly a very viable location. The church
Mhm.
is on board with it, so they're not
Right.
proposing to change it, and staff doesn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we've kind of chatted a little bit about it. It's wasn't on the agenda specifically. I'm right now starting the conversation because we need to get some momentum here on the Maryland 250 programming. In the work plan, I had made several different sort of just suggestions about programming for Maryland 250, from maybe having school projects that the town can work with the school district on to do something related to the 250th anniversary, or focus on some unique programming that the town would sponsor. So there's lots of different ideas out there. I'm working with Lucinda Anderson, who is the events coordinator. She's the lady that puts on all the wonderful programming through the summer and throughout the year. So she is going to be assisting in putting the program together. What we talked about, in fact, as late as yesterday, was maybe incorporating some Maryland 250 programming, whatever that one ends up being, into maybe some of our existing programs that we have. But it's sort of open right now. What I was, and because this is not really on the agenda, but if there's a member or two of the commission who might want to help participate in developing what that programming is, I would be more than happy to receive you and get you involved with Lucinda and myself to some extent in helping develop that programming and sort of brainstorming and putting a program together, maybe one or two programs, or at least a couple programs this year, maybe right somewhere in July or just before, and maybe a little bit after during the summertime, so that we can participate as part of the Maryland, the broader Maryland 250, and to bring residents to La Plata to help us celebrate, as well as our residents. So if any of you are interested in that, I'd love to talk to you after the meeting. We don't need to necessarily have a formal committee for this, but staff will certainly bring back, where we're at with the program as part of future agendas. And if we need to have a committee beyond after that, then we can formally do that. But at this point, I don't really need that, but would welcome help.
If members here do decide to join up with that, and would it be appropriate to discuss it in later meetings, just progress?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I would be willing to work
Okay.
with you on that.
Okay, so I've Jane and
I would as well.
okay, great, great.
And maybe me too. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, we.
Okay, well, can't have a quorum because that's a separate meeting. So I only two people. I'd love to have you all.
Over there.
Okay.
Run with
Mary
it.
Beth and I will work on a separate project.
Yeah, then I'll be.
But if you want to, if like we do with our formal meetings, if the vice chair would like to be an alternate for it, we can ring you up and participate that way.
I'm willing to step back and let them do it if they want to.
Let's see how much energy Patrick's got.
And that concludes my comments for today.
Fine, very good then. The last item on the agenda is for public comments. And I see we have a public person here. Rarely we do have a public one, but if you would like to comment, Ron, it's an opportunity. Okay, Ron has refused to comment, so
Refuse to comment.
declined.
Decline to comment.
Better.
That sounds a little better.
So, and if there are no other items anyone would like to bring, any issues that you think we should have discussed that we haven't?
One little piece of clarification for me personally is the train station museum. Now, does that come under in any way with Parks and Rec because it is a park?
It
Or how does that-
ordinarily it would in most communities, but we don't have a Parks and Recreation department. So it's really managed through the town's administration.
Okay. Okay.
Wow, maybe we would have a Parks and Recreation department. I mean,
That's
mean,
above
we-
my pay grade.
Well, we did have a Parks and Rec commission or committee at one time.
We do.
correct?
We do.
But that no longer exists.
No, it does.
It still does.
Yes.
Okay. But the train station museum doesn't necessarily fall under
It
that.
would falls, yeah, it falls really under the management, or it falls under administration.
And that falls back to utilities.
No, that
Mhm.
falls under Mr. Stevens as the town manager.
Okay. Okay. Now, like here at the, I won't hold everybody up, but they put in, last year, they put in a pollinator garden there at the train station museum. And the question is, who's going to maintain that? Who's going to cut it, maintain it?
And that falls under Public Works.
Public Works, okay. Because we've got to get something done about that.
You know, I think we'll probably talk with you
Okay.
after the meeting about getting a list of items together
Okay.
to approach when we've set up this meeting with Mr.
Wilson,
Cochran. Yeah.
Wilson Cochran.
Okay.
All right. Great.
Well, I guess we have sort of exhausted the agenda. If then everything else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
And Paul seconds the motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're adjourned.
12:19 PM.
Great.
Okay.